Hi, I'm Amy Beers, and today on Drinking with Beers,
we're featuring Black Acre Brewery and their new beer garden. I'll be walking you through a virtual tasting of a couple of their best-selling beers. And afterward, we'll get a chance to chat with co-owner Holly Miller about their particularly challenging year.
Black Acre's had a pretty rough year. They dealt with a fire around Christmas of all times, and not only that, but they also had to juggle all of these unexpected COVID restrictions. But even in the middle of chaos, sometimes beauty emerges.
In the middle of what appears to simply be an industrial complex is a hidden beer garden oasis. What began as a temporary solution during expansion projects turned into something a little more permanent. The garden opened for the good of the public, where you can drink local in a gorgeous outdoor atmosphere. It features modern designs with Japanese-inspired elements like Japanese maple trees and soon-to-be koi pond. It's where a community gathered in love and support after a fire destroyed the Black Acre Pub on Washington Street in Irvington. Black Acre opened in 2012 along the Old National Road after friends Justin Miller and Steve Ruby, who were attending law school together, combined with Justin's wife Holly, decided to live out their dream of owning a brewery.
But rather than let their undergrad degree in law go completely to waste, they thoughtfully incorporated it into unique branding opportunities. For instance, Black Acre is actually a term used in property law.
And beer names like Natural Liberty and Saucy Intruder were inspired by a legal case dating to 1802.
Who knew law could be so much fun? Recently, Black Acre underwent a secret side project and opened the Loft downtown in Indianapolis.
Located above Greek's Pizzeria on Delaware, this gorgeous, intimate space was inspired by the Art Deco stylings of the 1920s speakeasies. It features all of the Black Acre beer,
as well as their artisanal spirits from Wilderland Distillery. Black Acre is also getting ready to open yet another new location in Zionsville, and I'll let Holly tell you more about that later in this video. But first, let's crack open a beer and see what Black Acre has to offer. Today we're tasting Natural Liberty, which is a pale American lager, and the Saucy Intruder, which is a rye IPA, or if you'd like to call it a rye IPA, same thing. And if you purchase these to drink along with me, great. Go ahead, if you haven't done so already, pour yourself a glass and we'll get started. So we'll start with Natural Liberty, which is a lager. There's different beer styles, right? And every one of the styles typically falls into either lager or ale. And Pilsner is a style that falls under the lager category. Pilsner uses Pilsner malt, which is a very delicate and subtle tasting malt. It kind of tastes like water cracker or white bread. It's just very light and refreshing. So Pilsner uses a Pilsner malt, and then typically a Pilsner will also have some hop characteristics. Now traditionally with a German Pilsner or a German Pils, those hop characteristics come through more as floral aromas and flavors. With Natural Liberty, however, I thought it was really interesting when I tasted this. It says it's an American pale lager. So it's pale in color, it uses Pilsner malt, but it's American. What makes it American are the hops that are used. So there's different hop varieties around the world, right? So you have kind of the main ones are German hops, typically has more floral characteristics. And then you have American hops, which are really known for their citrus, sometimes pine, and tropical fruit characteristics. So this Natural Liberty, to me, tastes like a Pilsner, except instead of these floral German hops, you have American hops. So it's like a Pilsner, but you get that really nice American hop citrus flavor. It's really good summer beer. I could totally spend all day at the Black Acre Beer Garden just drinking this. It's not too heavy. Just very soft and delicate and clean finishing. All right, next let's move on to the Saucy Intruder. I actually haven't had this for a really long time. I think I had the Saucy Intruder when Black Acre first opened, and that was years ago, before I knew anything about beer. So I'm kind of in the boat with you. We're trying this together for the very first time. And I've heard lots of great things about this. It's actually, the Saucy Intruder is their best-selling beer. So I have pretty high expectations. So this is a rye IPA. It's like an IPA, except the grain bill consists of rye malt, and Black Acre has pretty heftily used a lot of rye malt in this beer. So what is unique and special about rye, using rye, is it's really known to add just a little bit of spiciness. And by spiciness, I don't mean hot like Mexican food spicy or American Mexican food. It's more like black pepper, spice like that. So in this particular IPA, Saucy Intruder, Black Acre has used Falconer's Flight hops, which is a blend of hops from the Pacific Northwest, which is a really great region for hops. It's like, I don't know, the heaven of hop growing, but maybe I'm just being biased because I'm American. So this particular blend of American hops has 7 different hop varieties. It includes 3 of the classic American hop varieties, which are Centennial, Cascade, and Chinook. And these hops are really known for just a whole lot of citrus flavor, especially grapefruit, and also a little bit of pine. And the blend also includes a more modern hop variety called, if you've probably heard of it, is Citra hops, which, as you have probably gathered from the name Citra, it has a lot of big citrus flavors. It's really known for that those citrusy characteristics. And then you also have Cluster, which gives it a slight floral note. There's also Columbus, which contributes some herbal characteristics, as well as a little bit of lemon on the back end. Then there's Crystal hops, which contributes a sort of woodsiness, and also some spice notes of cinnamon, nutmeg, and black pepper. And especially when you use rye malt with a very citrusy IPA, it really complements those citrus flavors really well. Let's go ahead and give this a try and see if we can pick out any of those. Sounds like there's a lot going on there, but see what kinds of aromas and flavors we can pick out of this. Ooh, I definitely pick up on that black pepper. So these hop characteristics blended with that really nice rye malt that gives it that spiciness really is a nice, it just amps up the flavor. It tastes like what I would imagine if a fox ever decided to brew some beer after a really long walk in the forest. This is what he would come up with. It's a very fantastic beer. And there's actually a really great story behind both of these beers, and here to tell us more about it is Holly Miller from Black Acre Brewery. Hi Holly, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, thanks for having me.
So we just got done doing the tasting of Natural Liberty and Saucy Intruder. I love them both, and I can see why Natural Liberty is your favorite.
I like a lot of different beers, but Natural Liberty is kind of my everyday go-to beer. It's refreshing. So Natural Liberty is an American pale lager. So it does kind of, it has the flavors of a pale, but actually it has more of, I hate the word drinkability, but it goes down a little smoother like a lager does. It's primarily Citra hops, and it just gives it this citrus refreshing kind of flavor to it. And all of the hops for this beer are added at the very end of the boil. So you actually don't get a lot of the bitterness from the hops. You just get a lot of the aroma, a lot of the flavor, not as much of the bitterness, which really does just make it a nice, easy, everyday beer for me.
It is, especially for summertime if you're out in the garden drinking, out in your beer garden. It kind of reminded me of like a cross between a pale ale and a Pilsner. Because I feel like it was a little bit more bitter than a Pilsner, not very much. It had just that little bitterness of a pale ale, but it had that clean fermentation, that clean finish because it's a lager. But I loved all the citrus hops. It makes it really different than anything I've really tasted before.
It really adds a lot of flavor to it, and that's what I like. Sometimes I want to have a beer. It doesn't have to be like a total in-your-face beer every time I have a beer. I want it to be light and crisp and refreshing, but still have that flavor of hops that I love so much. So there is this case, it's called Pearson v. Post. So 2 of the 3 of us owners went to law school. So my husband and Steve went to law school. We, in the beginning especially, we got a lot of our inspiration from law cases. So actually Black Acre itself, Black Acre is a term used in property law, and it's kind of used as like a placeholder. So instead of saying, you know, person A gave land A to person B, you know, something like that, they would say person A deeded Black Acre to person B, and so they kind of use it as just as a placeholder. So when we were trying to figure out what we wanted to name our brewery, we kind of used that as a placeholder, as almost a joke, and then it just kind of stuck. We're like, oh, we kind of like that. So also in property law, there is this case. It's from 1802, and the case is called Pearson v. Post. And what happened was this one guy, he is out hunting a fox, and the fox runs along onto this other guy's property, and the other guy kills it. So the case ended up going in favor of the guy who killed the fox, you know, kind of finders keepers essentially. But there was a dissent written on the case that was really quite funny, actually, if you read it. And so we got a ton of our names for our different beers from this case. So in the case, they say the dissent refers to the guy who stole the kill, as this particular judge thought, called him a saucy intruder for coming in and stealing the kill. So you'll notice on our can here, it is a fox, and it has an arrow in the side, because that's how he got it, was with a bow and arrow.
Okay.
It says, you know, it is a man's natural liberty to.
So there was a hunter. He was hunting on just some random property, right? And the fox ran onto this other guy's property, and the guy who owned that property killed the fox.
Correct.
Okay. And the judge was calling the guy who killed the fox a saucy intruder. Gotcha.
Saucy intruder is just, this is like the first beer that we ever named because of that case. Like when they were like, okay, that is a great name for something. And so it ended up going along with our rye IPA.
I love it. I love that you chose to work with rye malts, because I feel like you don't really see that very often. And it's delicious.
It is delicious, and you know, back in our home brewing days, we were doing a lot of rye. Rye, well, I would say it used to be. It probably still is one of my favorite ingredients. Not necessarily to brew with, because it makes for a sticky mash, but it is I just love the flavors that rye gives. It really kind of gives it kind of like an earthy. It just kind of rounds out. I think it just pairs so well with hops. This beer we've been doing since way back in the homebrew days.
Yeah.
So it's one of our OGs. Consider it our baby. I'm going to consider all of them our babies, but this one especially holds a special place in my heart.
And I love the hops that you use. It just offers so much. I was saying earlier, it kind of reminds me of if a fox ever decided to brew after a long day of walking in the woods. This is what it would taste like. It just tastes like a long walk in the woods, because you have that earthy spiciness, but you also have like that little fun punch of citrus.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to start thinking about being a fox.
Yeah. Just imagine you're a fox just walking in the woods on a beautiful day. Yeah, you see what I mean?
Yeah, I'm into it.
Mm-hmm.
I just can feel like the leaves crunching under my feet.
Yeah, just feel the sun peeking through the leaves, through the canopy of trees. Yep. Except then all of a sudden this hunter comes along and you're like, oh shit. I want to run onto this other guy's property. Oh shit. This was the calm before the storm. Just drink up. Okay, so let's switch gears here. Let's talk about the year that you've had. I feel like out of all of the breweries in Indianapolis, you probably have had the most challenging year.
It's been a weird one. So it was the weekend before Christmas. It was December 21st. we had a fire at our Irvington pub location, and it was pretty devastating. We got a call. It was early in the morning, and it was like 7:45 or 8 o'clock or something when we got the call. So of course we like jumped out of bed and drove straight there. And fortunately, no one was there. You know, it happened. It actually got called in by a guy who was playing Pokemon Go. And there was a Pokemon Go like gym behind Black Acre. So he was there at 7:30 in the morning. He actually sent me his video.
Wow. Thank God for Pokemon.
Just like Black Acre was just smoldering. And he's like, I don't think that's supposed to be doing that. He's the one who called 911. So thank goodness for him, because I mean, there was obviously plenty of damage. It's, you know.
When you got the call, did it seem real to you in that moment? Like, what was going through your mind?
Well, the first thing was, what the fuck? How? Why? Like, what? Just like, did we do something wrong? You know, like, that's the first thing. Like, oh my God, what did we do that made it just randomly go? But turns out they actually never really officially could tell us, but it happened in our office. So it was like a small room, computer, printer, router. Like, that's all that's in there. But they said it started near the top of the room. So there was a fluorescent light in there. So they think that maybe it was a bad ballast or something on the fluorescent light that just started to smolder.
Those damn fluorescents.
The whole back of the pub was pretty well gone. The rest of the pub had extensive smoke damage and then also water damage from the firefighters putting it out. That happened right before Christmas. All of the insurance people and everyone that we had to get together to get started on the restoration, everybody's on holiday and, you know, out of town. And so we couldn't even and not only did we have to get our insurance and our landlord's insurance agents and fire inspectors and blah, 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 all in there. We had to get also the insurance of every single business on the strip to all coordinate to be able to be there at the same time to do the walkthrough. So that took over a month of it just sitting there, just waiting to coordinate people.
When you were just getting ready to open the loft too,
yeah,
right?
So it was kind of like a secret side project that we were going to do. So the loft is our kind of speakeasy place that is downtown across from the city market, above Greek's Pizza. It actually used to be the bar for Greeks. It's a really cool place, and it's fire capacity of 49 people, so it's really small. Yeah. And then there was a pandemic.
Right. So it's like fire, which, I mean, there's no good time to have a fire, but it was like, you know, around Christmas, plus you're getting ready to open this new venture, which, you know, obviously takes money. And now it's like, and then, I remember reading that you had really nice support from the community, and it seemed like things were on the up and up, things are going to be okay. And then, like you said, boom, the pandemic happens.
So on the day of the fire, and I feel like that's one of the reasons why maybe I looked so put together, even though I wasn't, but there was so much support out there. Like, it was really kind of amazing. Everybody came out people came out to watch and put out the fire, first of all. But then we're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? So we all of our staff came together, even all of our friends and our families that came over, and we had our location 2 blocks south of there, on Bana. We had our beer garden over there, but it was closed for the season, obviously. And we're like, well, let's go over there and set it up. And fortunately, it was like a beautiful day. It was like 70 degrees that day. So we went over there, we set it up, we had a huge fire party. And I mean, it's kind of like one of those things you don't laugh, you'll cry. So we were just like cracking jokes the whole day about, we had a sign that said everything's burned but the beer. Because the beer was actually, fortunately, that was stored in the basement of the space.
Although it would have been a really good time to make a smoked German beer, a Rauch beer. Yeah. Yep.
And actually, it's funny too. Steve had just brewed like a smoked barley wine, and we're like, well,
That was the impetus. That's what started the fire. Yeah.
So anyway, but it was really cool. We had my friend started a GoFundMe so that we could support our staff. I can't speak enough to how wonderful it's been, and all of the support from all of our family and friends and our regulars and just everybody in the community like stepped up, and they definitely helped us feel the love. It's a kind of bizarre way how everything has kind of turned out, but because of the fire, obviously it's considered uninhabitable now. So we haven't had to pay rent. So we aren't paying rent until the space is rebuilt.
That's good.
So also in that respect, it's like, I mean, the fire, I mean, it's terrible. Don't get me wrong. But then when the pandemic happened, we've been really, really fortunate that for that location, at least, we aren't having to pay rent.
Yeah.
So that's helped a lot.
Yeah.
Of course, we have the other locations still. And we actually also have Vinesville that we've been paying on for, oh my God, almost a year now. And haven't gotten that one up, but that one's coming soon also. Everything, there's just been so many bumps along the way. It's just taking forever, but as weird as it is right now, I'm pretty optimistic about getting everything back up and running. And even if we have to do, deal with COVID and half capacity type things, we've also been fortunate that we were able to get some of the PPP, the payroll protection program money. So that has kind of helped us as well. So it's all been, sometimes I just don't even know what to say about it. It's just been a complete roller coaster. This summer, hopefully we'll be able to open Irvington, if not also Corvus, which will be our location in Zionsville. For a while, if I have anything to say about it. Opening all these places is it's a lot.
Right, that is a lot, especially in the middle of a pandemic and just all these unknowns. Like I'm really impressed by you guys. I mean, when I came over to Black Acre. First of all, I didn't know the beer garden was separate. So I went over to your main location off of Washington Street, and it was just completely gutted, and people were just working. I was like, oh, well, that's kind of exciting. I was like, well, where's the beer garden? And then I looked up on my phone, and it said it was like a 5-minute walk away. So I was like, well, I'll just walk. And I'm walking, and it's just like these random industrial buildings, and I'm like, I don't know about this. And then all of a sudden, I see a sign that says beer garden. I was like, okay, I'm getting closer. But I'm like, still like, well, where is it? And I kept walking back, and all of a sudden, it's like the heavens parted. It was like, this beautiful space for drinking beer.
It is so cool. We're so proud of it. It has, he has a whole like Japanese tree thing going on.
Yeah.
Hopefully going to be putting in a koi pond, and it just is like I said, it's the middle of an industrial complex. It doesn't look like anything, but so we really tried to add a lot of greenery and a lot of just like, it really doesn't just make you feel like you're kind of transported. And it's an all ages, pet friendly kind of place. We are in the process of putting together a pretty amazing menu there, where we're gonna do dumplings and steam buns and like Korean barbecue, but tacos. And Korean barbecue, like it's like a mix of Korean barbecue, but Korean barbecue dumplings and Korean barbecue quesadillas and all the stuff. We've been smoking lots of meats, and it's gonna be so fun and so good. And I'm so excited.
It's such a fun space, and I know you mentioned Asian fusion, right? Or is it mostly Korean inspired?
Yeah, I mean, it's really nothing, and it's a fusion for sure. Like I said, there's like dumplings, but we also are doing like tacos and like steam buns, but it might have curry on it, like all sorts of different things. So it's gonna be really cool, and we're gonna serve it because we want to serve it in those steam trays, like the bamboo steam trays.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be kind of like small plate-esque. And so when you order all these different small plates, we'll just stack up all the steam things and like serve it like that.
Sounds steamy.
Yeah. We love those things.
I'm so excited. So you are open currently, right? The beer garden.
So the beer garden is open 7 days a week. It's open 4 to 10 Monday through Thursday, and then noon to 10 Friday and Saturday, noon to 8 on Sunday. And then the loft, because it's such a small space, well, we're open for like private events if people want to have private events of 24 people or less.
Mm-hmm.
Or so we've been booking a few of those, but then we're also open Thursday through Saturday, 3 to 9.
I love that space. I'm totally in love with 1920s Art Deco. And the thing that caught my eye when I first walked in there was that couch. You found that that was a thrift find?
It was on, I got it on Facebook Marketplace, and it's a teal velvet Chesterfield couch, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And it was on Facebook Marketplace. It was from like a salvage store, but I mean, it was like brand new though. Like I found it on Wayfair for $2,500.
Okay.
I got it on Facebook Marketplace for $350.
Nice. That's a deal.
I found that and I was like, okay, we're designing everything around this couch because it's amazing.
That's so funny. That was actually my next question was, so did you have the 1920s style in mind, or did you build it all around the couch? It sounds like you built the whole thing around the couch.
Well, we knew because of the location and kind of like where the entrance was, because the entrance is off an alley, like, and the fact that we knew that we wanted a location where we could really kind of focus on cocktails. We wanted to do kind of a speakeasy thing, and then found that couch, and then everything else just kind of started falling in place. That's one of the things that we like to do is any location of ours, like we don't want to copy and paste. Oh, here's Black Acre, let's open Black Acre 2. And it's just the same thing, you just copy and paste. Like, that's just not as much fun for us.
Yeah.
To be honest. We definitely do have fun coming up with new concepts. So all of our locations are going to look very, very different. And they all have different menus besides the beer. The beer is the constant. Yeah,
it keeps things interesting. So tell me, can we talk about Corvus in Zionsville? So when are your plans? I know it probably is not going to open this day, but kind of just like a general idea of when you at least plan to open it.
Sure. So Corvus is probably about a month behind whenever the Irvington pub opens. So Corvus is going to be a rotisserie place. So, but not like your Kroger.
I'm gonna head over to Corvus and pick up my rotisserie chicken for the evening.
It's gonna have a 3-day brine on it. The skin's gonna be crispy, unlike like a Kroger, sometimes they're a little. So they're gonna be really good. It's gonna be kind of family style. So you get the bird, and then you get like family style sides that you can kind of pick and choose. You can pick and choose all your different sauces. I love sauce.
Yeah.
A lot.
What kinds of sauces will there be?
So it's gonna be that. It is gonna be, and it will have a I was gonna say family tolerant side. I don't call it family friendly because I don't do like crayons and stuff.
Sure.
Family tolerant side.
You could do a coloring book with like hops and brewing equipment and beer, and sell them while they're young. Like how they used to sell kids those candy cigarettes. Like you could totally do that with beer.
There you go.
Color in Mr. Hopstein.
Yeah, it's cool. It's in an old bank.
Oh, wow.
So it has this safe in it. What's cool about it, it still has the big giant like door.
Oh, cool.
And we're going to actually have it open to the public. So the first part when you walk in will be kind of the carry-out area. So if people want to go pick up their, 4-pack of Coffee Intruder, they can walk in there and just go grab it. But it's cool to go into the safe. It's really, really neat.
So why rotisserie? What made you decide to do that?
That's a really good question. We were throwing around all sorts of different ideas, and it was Justin who came up with it. We thought that so Zionsville has kind of just a different feel there. We thought there would be a lot of people who, who wanted to have food that would be easily available to pick up on your way home. Something that's like, oh, let's grab dinner. Oh, and the 4-pack while I'm at it. We can kind of do package deals, stuff like that, especially if it's family style. And just with Zionsville being, a pretty family-oriented city, so we wanted to do that.
Is it located in the old Zionsville? You know what I'm talking about? That main street with I think there's the road is old brick. Is it all along that road?
Yeah, it's right there. It's right on the corner of Oak and Main.
Okay.
Right across the street from Noah Grant.
So by the way, Corvus is Latin for crow.
Yeah.
Why a crow? And I know the crow is also your logo for Black Acre. So what's the story there?
So there's not really a particular story so much as when we were talking about with our guy, he's our guy, Lars Lawson. He does all of our design work. When we were talking about Black Acre, we were kind of talking about what do you think of when you think of Black Acre? And we're like, well, it's a plot of land. Well, plot of land, maybe I'm thinking of a fence, like a wooden fence with a bird sitting on it. That's kind of where it came from. And then there was also, I think that was around the same time as Portlandia put a bird on it too.
Oh yeah. So you have Black Acre, the main location. You have the beer garden, the loft downtown, and soon to be Corvus in Zionsville. If you were ever going to do a 5th location.
Oh man.
Have you ever thought about that? Like a concept for that? Or are you starting to run out of ideas?
For a concept? Oh man, I don't know.
Actually, maybe you shouldn't say because you have really good ideas and somebody might steal it.
Yes, that. It usually.
Wait, no, tell me, Holly. Tell me your ideas.
Yeah, we really do get a lot of ideas from travel. We love traveling, and every time we go to any other, especially the big cities, and we go to different places, we're always talking about little bits and pieces that, we're creative, but we're not 100% creative. We get inspiration from other places for sure. Because also our Irvington pub, when we open it, it's going to be totally different too. It's going to be twice the size. So we've finally done or in the process of doing the expansion. So it's going to be twice the size. And we're going to have a whole new menu from what we had before, which I do know some people will probably be a little bummed about certain things that are missing from the menu. But
yeah. Are you still going to keep the curried ketchup? I remember when I was there last, I had this really amazing, some aiolis and this curry ketchup. I've tried to make my own curry ketchup at home, but it's just not quite the same.
Yes, we're definitely, so we're bringing back the fries, which is my story. So our fries actually are the best fries.
Yeah.
Who cares about fries? But apparently I do, because they're amazing. They are sugar and salt brined and double fried, and they're just amazing. And then of course, like I said, I like sauce a lot, so you have to have a smattering of sauces. So our fryer, when we first opened, we didn't have a hood in our location, so we couldn't have an open fryer. So we had bought from this auction. It was an auto fryer. So it was basically this tabletop box, and you put your fries in one end, and then it cooks them, and then it spits it out when they're done. So it's self-contained. You didn't have to have a hood. Well, it kept dying. We kept repairing it. It just kept getting more and more expensive. To buy a new one was going to be $16,000. We're like, oh my God, we can't. We're going to have to just kill the fries. And it was so devastating. And literally to this day, people still ask us about, are the fries coming? Are the fries coming? And that was in 2015. It was May. We actually looked it up. The last fry we sold was it was Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, 2015. And then I think it was recently, in the last year, we were on the best fries of Indy list. Oh my God, and I just died. We haven't had those for 4 years.
Wow, quite a reputation though.
That says something about how
Yeah.
We'll be excited about the fries coming back.
Right. Even 5 years from now, I'm like, are you still gonna have those fries with the ketchups and the aiolis? They're really good fries. So the new menu for Black Acre.
So it's gonna be a little more like, we're gonna try to elevate it, but it is gonna be a lot more pub grubby. Before it was all like sandwiches. So this we're gonna do some fried chicken and fries and lots of other, stuff that goes with that, essentially. So yeah, we're switching over from sandwiches to more of a fried chicken kind of thing.
I love it.
We're gonna be buying a lot of chicken.
It sounds like it. The rotisserie place and then fried chicken.
I think people will miss some of the sandwiches, as will I, but the fries are coming back. That's all I gotta say.
That's good. Yeah.
The fries will be back.
The fries will be back. Well, I thank you so much for taking the time to do this video with me.
Yeah, no problem.
And I know you've had a really rough year, but it sounds like you're doing okay, and it sounds like a lot of good things are in store for you. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, it's 2020 is going down in the books. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But otherwise, I think we're like I said, we've been super, super fortunate just with how everything has landed and just with having the amazing, staff that we have and the amazing community support that we have. It doesn't get any better than what we have when it comes to that. So I'm very, very thankful for all of that.
Yeah. I feel like that's mostly what beer is about. It's not just about the malty, hoppy liquid. It's about community.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. There's this, I wrote this quote down. I'm going to mess it up. Rita Cohn.
Yeah.
And it was at like the Indiana Craft Brewers Conference a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And she oh my gosh, hold on. I'm going to mess this quote up. Hold on. She said, when you drink a craft beer, you're drinking, she was talking about how it was like people put their heart and soul into the craft. Mm-hmm. And so she said, when you're drinking the craft beer, it's like you're drinking their soul and you make a soulmate.
For a second, that sounded really creepy. And then I was like, oh, that's actually that you're drinking their soul.
I probably said it wrong too, to be honest.
I get what you're saying.
But I thought that was really cool. Like there is like a bigger connection in all of this with people, but I think it's just really cool and really unique to our industry. You don't get to do it's just not the same.
It's not like, what other industry has that? I mean, coffee roasters, do they have a sense of, I don't know, like wine?
I don't know. Maybe they do.
Maybe.
Not too many other industries anyway.
No. I definitely think there's a huge sense of community in beer. Yeah. More so than other industries.
Yeah.
Not that I've worked in every single industry, but I feel like I'm way overthinking this. Well, anyway, I feel like, after talking and just listening to your story, I feel like the community should make you a plaque to give you the most, of all the breweries, I feel like you have earned the most resilient of 2020. Here's the most resilient award to Black Acre.
Okay, I will take that.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much for joining us, Holly.
Thank you.
Oh, cheers.
Oh, cheers to you.
Cheers. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us and drinking with me today. Let's send Holly and the crew at Black Acre some extra love for the challenging year they've had. You can show your support by ordering carryout or delivery, or by visiting any of their multiple locations. I will include some info in a link with this video. I'm Amy Beers. Thanks again for watching, and cheers.